Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of FML Talk. Today, we are going to sit down and dive the fuck in, y'all. I get so many questions about the main man that was in Eat, Pray, FML. So today, I am going to open up and really go there with you guys. Sit back, grab a drink. We're discussing all things Javier. Welcome to FML Talk.
Oh my god. Wait, how old was the other girl?
19. Can you believe that shit?
Hey, this is Gabrielle Stone.
Good book?
He did what?
48 hours?
What a dick.
Yeah, but have you seen all the photos on our Instagram? And this is FML Talk.
Oh, no, she didn't.
Every week, without fail, I get multiple DMs of readers and listeners asking me what's going on with Javier. Do I still talk to him? What's our relationship like? Did everything just completely end after Europe? And I never really fully know how to answer these questions, partly because I don't want to spoil any of book 2 for you guys, because that whole story is detailed in there and I want you to go on that journey with me in the book. But also because it's a tricky situation and we have had a tricky past and relationship. But I know how committed and invested you guys all are, and I so love and appreciate that I wanted to finally sit down and do an episode around where I am at with Javier, how things played out a little bit after Europe, and really how I was able to heal and get through the biggest heartbreak of my life. So when I realized that I was going to be doing this episode, my producer called me and was like, look, everybody's really wanting to hear about Javier. You know, we've talked about Daniel and we've covered a lot of the other characters, but we really haven't heard a lot about Javier. And the thought of sitting down to do a solo episode around all of that made me break out in a cold sweat. So I said to her, okay, I'll do it if you will come on and do it with me, like record with me. And it's a really interesting perspective because Jackie and I, my producer and dear friend, met around the time when I had come home from Europe and became really close while I was going through a lot of the aftermath stuff that had to do with Javier. She not only knows him personally through me, but she also didn't have any preconceived notions about who he was as a person because she was not in my life during the FML shitstorm. So it's a really interesting perspective that she brings to be able to have sat back and watched a lot of the things that went down post Europe. So there are a few spoiler alerts in book 2 in this episode that I'm giving you anyways because I think it's worth it, and I'm sure it'll be appreciated nonetheless. But be advised that there are a few spoilers, and it's gonna get really real here, guys. So grab a drink with me, and here's Jackie. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous.
Why?
Because, well, first of all, you're my producer, so I always feel like I have to be really great when you're here when I record. But also just because of the subject matter, and this is one thing. I mean, you know, whenever I do my fucking Instagram questions and like let people ask things, without fail, there are 5 to 10 people that are like, do you still talk to Javier? What's going on with Javier? Why don't you talk about Javier?
Okay, can I just say that you and I are very similar in a lot of ways in terms of like we're very driven, like goal-oriented women, like independent, but we're different in the way that we like handle things.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, I think because your mom is the way that she is, she raised you to be like very like, you know, grateful and like above, and like everything is so like, you know,
Gratitude.
like positivity. And sometimes I'm like seeing the things I grew up from a very like protective environment. Like my parents are, as you know, like refugees, like, so it's a different experience. So my environment is always like protect what you have at all cost and survive.
Yeah.
So like the shit that happens to you, like you're always like, no, I'm better, I'm gonna rise above. I'm like, no bitch, it's time to kick some ass. Like
I'm dead. It's so true. That's a really good point. I'm getting better at finding a happy medium of that. I think that I hold on to the whole everything happens for a reason. One, because I believe that, but two, because I feel like I would have just laid down and given up in 2017 if I didn't have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely some things looking back on now, especially that I'm writing about in book 2, where I'm writing and I'm like, yo, this is not fucking okay. Like none of this was okay.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing I think you learned was the biggest lesson, is that like shit's not okay, and it's okay to be like, it's not fucking okay.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you don't have to take the high road, and you have to stand up for yourself. And by standing up for yourself, you're taking the high road.
Yeah.
As long as you're not hurting anybody, it's okay to be like, no.
Like I'm not going to accept this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. 100%. So this is an interesting situation because we just had Jess on last week. Brittany, but we're going to keep calling her Jess because that's how everybody knows her. We just had Jess on last week, and she was with me from the beginning of Daniel all the way through to, you know, Javier. You and I became really close friends after Europe, and when I had already come back and gone through a lot of that. So you have a very different perspective and relationship with all the different elements in this.
Actually, like our story is kind of more intertwined than I would have ever imagined, because like I knew Tay before I knew you,
right?
Because Tay and I worked together in the same bar, and then you showed up, and I was just like, oh, it's this girl that comes every weekend and like just gets what she wants. And I'm like, great, cool, I'm all for that. But then like after I quit and I was like getting my last check, you remembered my name, and I was like, oh, this bitch knows my name. She's cool people. Cool. But then I had you on my podcast, and I got to know more about your story, and I think you were in the process of writing the book.
Yeah, it hadn't come out yet.
It hadn't come out yet, or like you had just finished the editing or something. So I didn't really know, like you just told me the summary, and like we just talked a little bit about it, but I didn't have like a face to any of these names. Like I didn't know who these people were.
Yeah.
So coming into it, like actually like hanging out with you and like building a friendship, I met Javier and I didn't know anything. Like she was just like, oh, you were just like, that's the guy that
destroyed me.
Not destroyed. You didn't say it, but that's the thing. You didn't set him up that way. You
Right.
didn't set him up as like he destroyed my life.
Yeah.
You set him up as that's the guy that I was dating that he had to go by himself because he was grieving. And so I went by myself and I wrote the book. And I was like, oh, okay.
Still
like,
protecting him.
Yeah, still protecting him. So I didn't know that it was like that big a deal.
Right.
Especially like from my experiences of relationships. Like I've been with guys that like they're not that good for me, but I go back time and time again because I convince myself, like Jess was saying, convincing myself like this is what I want.
Right.
You know?
Or they
so,
check
like,
some of the boxes, so it must be like I can fix the other boxes.
So I was giving you the benefit of the doubt because I've been there. And then as far as him, I didn't have any doubt to have for him because all I knew was this guy that you used to date that was inviting us to an event for free. And I'm like, cool, like, let's go. So like I didn't have any of this like backstory.
Yeah.
So when I met him, I was just taking him for the person he is.
Yeah.
And the person he is like really like energetic, outgoing, like really personable. He seems like very responsive. He's connecting. He listens when you're talking. He's like interested in who you are as a person and not just interested in like hearing himself talk. So I was like, oh, like I don't see what the problem is.
Right.
Like, okay, cool. So yeah, and then we all just kept hanging out.
Yeah, there were many times where we would all go dancing because that's what you and I do. So we would often cross paths in that sense. And, you know, I was still really good friends with one of his best friends. So it kind of like became this
salsa dancing,
weird salsa dancing group.
And
we would all go out and have so much fun. But it was a very different experience because I was still, trying to convince myself that this was normal and this was fine.
Yeah.
And it really took me a long time to take a step back and see things that were happening so clearly in front of my face that weren't really okay.
Yeah.
Like you were saying.
Well, yeah. And I think also like I had just gotten out of a sort of narcissistic, not sort of, it was.
Yeah, extremely.
Extremely. For like 3 years, I was like wrapped up in this dude's vortex, right? So like I had already, after I got out of that and like reprogram my brain to be like, that's not a thing anymore. I was so quick to see things that I was like, no, run. Like,
right.
Do not.
And
not.
And I don't think it even happened right away. I think there was like a good amount of time that you were like, I don't really see the problem. And this looks like great and everything's fine. And it wasn't until later on when really specific things started happening, which I don't want to detail too much because that'll spoil a lot of book 2. But it wasn't until those things started happening where I remember very clearly we were in a bathroom at a restaurant and you looked at me and you were like, what the fuck, Gabrielle? You would never allow any other person to say some of the things and to act the way that was like being portrayed at the dinner table in front of you. Like if that was Tay, you would have been like, yo, dude, shut the fuck up, sit the fuck down. Like,
well, I had never,
not that he would ever say something like that.
I think we had known each other for like a year at that point. And we were hanging out a lot.
Yeah.
And in the year that I had come to know you, I had never, and it was in your face. That's what triggered me the most. Like the look on your face. I had never seen you in such a vulnerable, like, victimized, I'm a little kitten, please don't kick me, like, state of mind. And like your physicality changed from this like stand up straight, like own my shit, to like crouched, like I don't know what to do, someone help me. I'd never seen that in your face.
Yeah.
And that's why when we were in the bathroom, I was like, absolutely not. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Negative. Like, you don't let somebody have that much power over you that you stifle yourself, like to the point where you become just instinctually a victim.
100%.
Never.
Like, what's so crazy to me is that it's weird because, I dealt with this a lot with my girlfriends that went through the whole Eat, Pray, FML process with me too. When you're in a relationship and you're so deep in the throes of like loving that person and you're there every step of every emotion on their face, it's like, you see their hurt and you see their struggle and you feel the different things that you're feeling when you're going through this process with someone. It's so vastly different than when you're on the outside hearing a retold story of like, well, these are the facts and this is what happened. And people have this total different experience of it because it's a story that's being retold. And it's like, I remember saying to people, but you don't get it. You weren't in it. You don't understand how much it was hurting him to tell me that he had to go by himself. You don't understand like how painful it was for him. And, it was so drastically different than what everybody on the outside was perceiving. So 100% I can see why anyone that was in my life had every fucking right to hate that man.
Well, I think it's like a tricky thing to define, right? Because yes, it was probably painful for him to do it, but like as people, just at our base core, like just as animals, right? Just Mother Nature, we don't do things that hurt ourselves we don't like actively pursue pain for ourselves. That is something that is taught to us by the people that are influencing around us, telling us that we're non-deserving. But it's instinctually, I would never do anything to like purposefully hurt myself unless I'm being influenced, right? So the fact that he did it to me, and this is just my opinion, my perception of the world, so I could be 100% wrong to like half the people out there, but like to me, the fact that he did it meant that he was maybe a little bit okay with doing it.
Yeah. That he did what specifically?
The fact that he like left you.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was probably more than okay to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't hurt him that much.
Yeah.
Because if it did, he wouldn't have done it.
I don't.
That's just my belief.
No,
and I'm aware that it seems very like black and white.
No, and I respect it, and that's valid, and I think a lot of people listening probably agree with that. I think if he was sitting here, he would defend that till the fucking cows came home.
Oh, of course he would.
But I do think that, you know, we had only been together for a month and a half, 2 months. It had been furious and fast and intense, but it was still a short amount of time. So although he knew she just went through this gnarly divorce, but he did see how okay I was, and like, you know, her dad had died, and like he knew all of my things, but he didn't really know. Like, that's why when he was in the kitchen with my mom and she was like, don't hurt my daughter, and he was like, your daughter's the strongest woman I've ever met, and my mom was like, you don't fucking know my daughter then, because she's broken right now. So he knew, but I don't think he really deeply truly knew. Like Tay, he knows. Like, even when, oh my God, I'm like gonna get choked up.
Do it. Producer brain is like, do it.
Cry, bitch. He knows, like, when we have gotten in fights and I've had to tell him some really devastatingly painful things, and they're fights where I might have thrown shit and walked out. Mm-hmm. He has looked at me and been like, I am fucking so hurt and so angry, but I'm not abandoning you. Like, you're okay, and we will get through
you're
it.
Talking about Tay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because he knows how deep that runs in me. Mm-hmm. And if Javier had known that, I don't know if he would have been capable of really doing that to me. Granted, like, if you don't love me, like, we got to break up, you know, we got to handle it, and like, it's got to happen. But like, I don't know if he would have been able to dive in so head first if he would have known like what his actions were going to result in with my heart and my spirit.
Well, I don't doubt that. And I think that if you guys had known each other for a little bit longer and like really had like gone there with each other, it might have been a different story, but maybe not. Like, we don't know because it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But what triggers me to be like, he was maybe a little bit okay with like leaving you is because of Jana's experience of talking to him in the park that he knew beforehand.
Yeah. So
for however many weeks.
Let's talk about that, because we kind of brushed over it, like, because she told me when we were recording a podcast and it was in like the middle of a story, and her face when she told me that, when she realized I did not know that information, she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And not, you know, her and I didn't know each other back then, so it's like whatever. But to know that last week was hell for me. I mean, I went from being in this like total blissful state with this man to not knowing like what happened. Right. You know, that week was like, is he gonna call me today? Is he gonna text me today? Like, it literally went from 100% hot to 5% cold. And I was trying to force myself, and you know, there were many days that like I didn't write about in the book during that week where he would come over and we would talk, and I would burst into tears and be like, I just don't understand what's going on. And he would assure me that like he was just telling me how he was feeling. He was just being open and honest with me. He wasn't breaking up with me. Like, everything was okay. So I was sitting there going like, I know this feeling. I know this isn't good. And he refused to like take ownership of it then.
Right. Well, but see, that's exactly what I'm saying, is that from your side, it came so sudden.
Mm-hmm.
But for him, it was a little bit premeditated,
Yeah.
because he's been sitting on it for however long he's been sitting on it,
Yeah.
and convincing himself that what he was doing was okay.
Yeah.
Do you see?
Yeah.
So like, it didn't exactly pain him
Mm-hmm.
in the way you describe it, because he had convinced himself that it was the right thing to do.
Right.
Right.
And for me to be in that state of agony for that week, like trying to help him in any way that I could, to then find out that he had gone to a park with a female, to talk about the fact that he had already made this decision and wasn't going to go with me days before I fucking found out, and I'm the one going on the goddamn trip. Like, the facts of that story, taking any of the emotion, or like if he was dealing with whatever, the facts of that are fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
Well, it's my philosophy is like, okay, let me just say one thing, is that I actually like Javier.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
As do I, guys.
I'm not
Like,
bashing him in any way. I think he's a great guy. I think he's got a lot to offer the world. I think he's smart.
and Tay said that too when he ran into him.
It's not like you come across this man and think, oh, he's a fucking asshole.
Not at all.
No, the opposite.
And I hope that when everybody read this book that they got that, because I took a lot of care in making sure that I portrayed him in that way, because I feel that way too about him.
But
he knows that.
But what I think that my philosophy is that if you love somebody for however long it takes you to love them, sometimes it happens in an instant, sometimes it happens in a lifetime. But in my opinion, and this goes into abandonment and all of that, because I have some similar stuff in my past as you don't bail.
Yeah.
If you love someone, you do not bail.
Yeah.
You stick. I always say this, and like, this has happened to other friends of mine in the past that have had sort of like issues with their own self and loving themselves, that like, you can do whatever the fuck you want to me. I'm strong enough to like hold my own, but like, you have me around for a reason, and I'm going to stick it through. I'm not going to bail.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you come to me and tell me I don't want you in my life, I'm going to be there, because I've already invested my love and attention into your well-being.
Yeah.
So unless you come to me and you're like, Jackie, I don't want you in my life, I don't bail.
Yeah.
If I have love for you, I'm not going to bail. And that's just my philosophy. So when I hear somebody declaring to you that they're in love with you and they want to go and have this adventure with you and they want to have your babies and they want to marry, like, if you're going to declare that out loud for the universe to hear and you bail, you lose my respect.
Right.
Because you're definitely being dishonest with the other person, but then you're also being dishonest with yourself to even declare something you don't mean.
Yeah.
Out loud. Like, it's okay to think about it and be like, do I not? I don't know. Do I love her? Maybe. But if you're going to speak it to somebody, you better hold your own. Like, that's just my thing.
And I think that's not only fair and justified, but I think he would tell you that he lost respect for himself in that moment too.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
He's that type of guy.
Because I do know how difficult it was for him. Do I think that it was so difficult that like he couldn't even go through with it and do it? No, obviously not. Like, he was at some capacity okay to do it because he did it. But I do know like how hard it was. I think what made the situation as a whole so insane, apart from the fact that it like was right after I had found out about Daniel cheating and like left the house and got a divorce, was the way that it happened. And I didn't realize this until really recently because I was scrolling on TikTok, as we do, and saw this girl doing a video on love bombing. And I had never even heard that term before. So
I didn't know what it was before we sat down to do this.
I know. So I'm sitting there watching this video, and she's basically explaining that love bombing is when someone who has some type of void within themselves that's looking to fill that and feel better around it, meets a person, has this initial attraction, and is like, oh my God, that's what's going to fill me up, and pours everything they can into that person and onto that person, and like showers them with love, and is like almost, in an obsessive, like, this is it and we're done, and goes into this like heavy, hot relationship. And when they get that fulfillment, or they realize that's not going to fill them up in that space that they were looking for anymore, they're like, oh, okay, I'm done, and bail. And I'm fucking sitting on my couch looking at this TikTok video with my goddamn jaw on the floor, and I'm like, that's what fucking happened to me. And it makes so much sense, especially coming from someone who had lost their brother and was still dealing with unresolved grief and quite literally had a fucking void somewhere in him. I mean, I had spoken to people that were in his close circles that were like, Gabrielle, before you came into the picture, we were worried about him. Like, we didn't think he was going to be okay. So there was very much a void there, in many ways, that he had never addressed. And, for whatever reason, I was the person that filled that up really instantaneously and well for that month and a half. And it was so interesting to me because sitting here watching this, I'm like, nobody really teaches you how to deal with the aftermath of love bombing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, cool. That's what it is. And that's what happens. But it's, to me, because I've had, long-term relationships and that have obviously fallen apart for different reasons. I've never felt that way. It's a different kind of heartbreak than when you've been with someone for 3 years and like something's just not working, so you're going to decide to break up.
Right. But you know what? And I feel like somebody should slap me on my wrist for saying this. It's almost good that you fell for it.
Well, yeah.
Because I think that just shows that, especially given your past, the type of person you are to be open and inviting to somebody and believing them, your heart is that open.
Yeah.
Because to me, enough shit has happened to me that I'm skeptical about everybody. I'm like, you said you love me, but what does that mean?
Right.
Like, because
Prove
it's just
it.
happened to me enough time that I'm like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
And my boyfriend, he'll look at me, he'll be like, what do you mean? What do I mean? I'm here. I'm doing the things.
I
like,
just
what
said
do
I love you.
and,
What do you mean?
And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. Like, you know what I mean? But it takes reprogramming to be like, okay, that happened to me. I'm going to just be open to the next guy. So like, it's kind of good that you fell for it, because that just means that you're a very open, like forgiving type of person. It's bad, the aftermath of what happened, because you didn't know how to deal with it because it's never happened to you.
Yeah.
Obviously. And it's hard to navigate and like understand the world when somebody tells you reality is different than what you've perceived it to be.
100%.
But I kind of like applaud you
for you
having fallen for it, just because that just means that like you're willing to try again. You get up and you try again.
Well, and I get asked that in interviews all the time. People are like, after your divorce, or after Javier, did you like put up a wall around your heart and shut yourself off? And I'm always like, no, because if I would have done that after getting cheated on and leaving my ex-husband, I would have never met Javier, fallen in love, gotten my heart shattered, and gone on this insanely amazing journey that clearly, as we sit here now, we all know has changed my fucking life. Right. Like, whether or not anybody likes this man or not, he gave me, in one way or another, a new career.
But then there's your answer, right? How do you deal with love bombing?
You fucking write a book about it. I love it. And to piggyback off of that answer, though, when I came back from Europe, I was damaged. Like, I was not okay. And I had to work through a lot of depression and still do a lot of healing. And for some reason, whenever you're in that state and you're like, I don't want anybody near me, every person is knocking at your door like, hi, I'd like to start a relationship with you. I'm here. And I was just like, guys, no, I'm a brick wall. Like, please walk away. And when Tay came into the picture, I still felt that. And it took.
Okay, wait. Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
Because we did the podcast, and you were dating Tay at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember coming downstairs to like walk you out.
Oh, we did your podcast, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was coming downstairs to walk, which doesn't exist, by the way, so don't like go looking for it. To walk you out, and I was like, oh, so how's it going with Tay? And you're like, oh, I don't know. And in my mind, I was like, what? I was like, why? I was like, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong with him. I was like,
everybody.
He's like Prince Charming. I was like, what do you mean what? And then later on it like evolved, and I'm not gonna spoil it for the book.
Yeah.
But like blew my mind.
Yeah. And everybody felt that way. I mean, literally everybody was like, Team Tay, what the fuck is wrong with you? What are you doing? And it wasn't until recently when I was writing this specific chapter in book 2 that I really put it all together. And which is why I'm such a big advocate of people writing down their thoughts and feelings, because you literally learn things about yourself and can work shit out. It's like therapy. But it wasn't until recently when I was writing this chapter that I realized why there was so much hesitancy and confusion around Tay. And, you know, besides the fact that I needed closure on a lot of different areas of my life, I also really still needed to work through the aftermath of the Javier love bombing. But the biggest thing was that when Tay and I were together, we would laugh and we would have so much fucking fun. And like, he was just so good to me and put me on this pedestal and like was everything that any woman would ever want. And I recognized that, but like there was something missing. And I know you remember me every time we broke up, you were like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I was like, there's just something missing.
Well, I think we had that conversation like 3 times.
No, I know, because every time we broke up, it was something's missing.
I remember the first time. Okay, so back up. I didn't know that like there were still feelings for Javier when you introduced me to him. I didn't know that like there was still something possibly maybe still in the air. Right. I just thought it was like now you were friends after the whole thing. So I started to you didn't tell me right away, but I started to catch on by the amount of times we were like hanging out with that group. And I don't think you were like dating Tay. I think it was like in the time that
I
you
was
had, like,
never
broken up, and
I was never hanging out with Javier when I was with Tay.
But you would cry to me. And you would be like, you were in tears telling me like you really don't know what to do because your heart is like telling you one thing, your mind is telling you something else, and then they flip flop, and then you're like your heart's telling you the opposite, and then your mind's telling you so like in tears. And I was like, this is, to me it was clear from the outside. I was like, clearly, but when you're inside of it, between, you know, door number 1 that gives you one type of life, and then door number 2 that gives you a completely different life. Yeah. And they're both good lives.
Right.
Like they each have their faults, but like they're both like pretty good options. Like you're at a standstill and a decision can't be made. And when you can't make decisions, that's when your heart breaks.
Yeah. 100% when you're in that limbo stage. But going back to what I was saying, the thing that was missing that I always kept going back to and was like this fucking Achilles heel for me in my relationship with Tay was I didn't have that like obsessive isn't the right word, addicted like high that I had with Javier. And it wasn't until I did a lot of work on myself and did a massive amount of healing that I realized that was toxicity. Like that's not a healthy thing to have in a relationship, nor is that going to be there for a long-term situation. So I had gotten out of this loveless marriage, jumped into this like intense, wildly sexual and like very just, what's the word I'm looking for that's not intense, because that's the only one that's coming to my head.
Animalistic?
Yeah, animalistic, but like just really like deeply intense. Like, and it wasn't just me. He was the one that was like
charged.
Great. He was the one that was like prompting a lot of that. Like I was very much like, let's just see where this goes and let him
needed it.
Yeah.
Given what he had just gone through.
Yeah. Well,
without realizing
he hadn't just gone through it. It was a year and a half ago. So he had some time.
Before you went on the trip, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, he was telling his parents this. He was telling his best friends this. He was like, this is my chick. Like, we're done. Signed, sealed, delivered. So I went from this loveless marriage to this really intense relationship, and it redefined in my brain at the time what love was. I was like, oh, I've never even fucking been in love. Like, this is what it is. This is what it's supposed to be like. Like, what the fuck have I been doing? Like, why did I even get married? Only to find out later down the road and in my journey that gave me a toxic definition of love. So when I'm now in this relationship trying to be with Tay at the first, earlier times, I'm going, well, this can't be right because that thing isn't here. Even though that thing
was the conversation
that I was searching for is fucking toxic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So once I was able to figure that out and recognize that, it was like, oh my God, dude, I've been pushing away the real, like, what people search for on a soul level because I was searching for a toxic ingredient that didn't exist.
The adrenaline rush.
Yeah. And it's like,
you were running the sprint, not the marathon.
100%. And Javier, to me, and he would sit here and say this to you too, became like a drug. Like it was literally like a drug.
Well, that's exactly what it was because of the way it was affecting you, not just emotionally, but like physically.
Yeah.
Mentally. Like when I tell you that she changed in time and space when he was around, I'm not kidding. Like it's not just like an emotional state that she switched on and off. It was like her entire demeanor just like changed. And that's what drugs do to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was my biggest trigger to be like, like there was a point in time, and I think I told you this and you were like laughing at me. It's like there's a point in time, like I know you guys can't see me, but like, when you're watching a really good movie and there's like a big argument on screen and you're just like shifting your head back and forth between the argument.
Like
so like imagine
match?
Me watching Gabrielle's sort of aftermath love fiasco unfold with like popcorn just back and forth. I'm like, what's gonna happen? Like, but like it wasn't my place to like tell you what to do because you have to find that yourself. I could just like advise and be like, hi, warning signal.
And people did too. So many people in my life, because I didn't talk to a lot of people about this, obviously, because people felt so strongly about Javier and what had happened. And but the people I did talk to who were closest to me, everybody felt the same way. They were like, this is very clear what you should be doing. This is very clear, like, what's going on here. But until the person that's in it and engrossed in it can take a step back and see that, there's like, it wouldn't matter what anybody said to me.
I know that you get questions from fans a lot of the time to be like, what would you advise someone who's in that situation? Like, what can I tell them?
Yeah.
And I think that like, maybe like I can maybe like stand behind this 100%. Like you can't tell them anything.
No, that's why it's such a hard question to answer.
You can only just be there and just like make them aware that things are happening.
Yeah.
But you can't force them. You can't like put your own perception of it on them. Like they just have to go through it to learn. And as heartbreaking as that is the truth.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can say to a person who's wrapped up in a toxic situation to get them out of it.
It's so true. I mean, I get DMs all the time about, oh, my friend is going through this. I even get DMs from people, like women that are like, I am in such a toxic relationship. He treats me like fucking shit. I do not know what to do. I'm so unhappy. And I'm like, just leave. Like, and I say, I'm like, look, honestly, because they ask for advice and like what to do. And I say, until you make the decision to choose yourself and that you've had enough, nothing I say or nothing anyone else can say is going to help you get there.
But see, that's the thing is that the reason why it's because people get attached to the pain that they know. they attract the pain that they know.
Yeah, it's a trauma bond.
So to change, like even if you're in a relationship, to change into a better situation, change is painful no matter which way you look at it, from negative to positive or positive to negative. That transition phase is painful. And people would rather sit in the comfort of the pain that they know than to transition out into a pain they don't recognize to hopefully make it on the other end.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you would rather go with the devil you know than the devil you don't.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. People fall into the comfort of, I know this is painful, but the other thing might be more painful to like get out of. Maybe I'll be lonely. Maybe I'll be like, you know, so I'll just stay in my pain because I know how to navigate.
Yeah.
it.
At least I know how to handle this.
Yeah.
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 It's so true.
So it's they have to just wake up, like bring the light, shine the light on themselves and wake up to know like, okay, this isn't even worth the pain. Like I'd rather take any other pain than this.
Yeah.
Like, and like, that's such a morbid like thought.
Yeah.
To be like, pick your pain, you know, but like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then eventually you come to realize that the second option isn't pain at all. It's just different. It's just change.
Yeah. I also think we have to address, because the question I get the most, apart from did Chris ever come to LA, is do you still talk to Javier? And I never knew how to answer that. Sometime at the beginning stages I did, because it was just yes. And I don't think people are going to really understand fully until they read book 2 how weirdly, you know, synchronistic and intertwined it all was. Like, as I was doing certain interviews, what was happening behind the scenes, and like, I mean, it was gnarly. But I guess to give everyone a satisfactory answer of that question, it kind of depends on the month, the year. I can say right now that I don't. Do I think that's going to be everlasting? No. I know there are specific things I will eventually have to talk to him about.
Knowing the humor of the universe, like 5 years from now, you're going to end up on the same movie set or something.
I literally would not doubt it. Look whose life we're talking about. Come on. I mean, and Tay will be on it too. Like, it'll just be this weird, fucked up scenario.
Like, and you're all playing like siblings or parents.
Right,
or like
right. I can't. But, you know, it does, it makes me happy that my readers that are now my listeners are so connected to me and my story that they care that much.
Dude, it's unreal.
Yeah,
it's
great.
unreal. Like the amount of influence and help that you've given people just from this book alone. It's like, because I'm sitting on the back end, like reading everything. By the way, spoiler alert, like when you get those replies on FML Talk podcast, that's me. Sorry. Sorry about it.
If you want to hear from me, come to my page.
Yeah. So I'm getting like the import of what's coming in, and like I'm handling also like the merchandise too. So like when the like signed book comes in and people bring their notes, I'm like, dude, like you're really like changing people's lives. That's like amazing.
Thank you.
And like I applaud every woman who's like replied to Gabrielle about their story, and every woman that's like submitted their FML story to the show. Yeah. Because it like first of all, it takes like so much strength to be like, this is my story, this is who I am, and I'm going through it, or I went through it, or it's still affecting me somehow, but I want to talk about it. Yeah. That's like huge. So like I applaud all of you. But I also like, it's just crazy to me how like words can change someone's life. Yeah. Like someone's story, like you're changing people's lives. And like that's why I'm doing this with you, because I'm like, this is like what everybody, like, you know, when you're a kid, you wake up and you're like, I want to change the world, Mom. Oh. Like you're changing the world, you know, and that's, I'll stand behind that like day and night, you know, and I think that's great.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. And for those of you that do send me DMs, I mean, I get like essays sometimes, and I'm so appreciative that people have read my crazy story and have connected with it in such a way that it gives them the bravery to then share theirs, because we are so not alone. There are so many people, men and women, that go through these fucked up situations where they're like, what's love bombing? What's trauma bonding?
That's the other shocking factor, is how many people have the same story.
Yeah, dude.
Like, y'all gotta stop being shitty to each other. Like, I swear.
Be better, everyone. Be better.
Stop being shitty to each. We're all we have in this world, you know? So, like, stop being a dick.
Fucking A, I can get behind that.
Okay, so let's close this out. One final question, and it triggered me with something that you said somewhere in the middle. I want to know, now that, like, we've talked about it and you know the difference between love bombing and you know the difference between good and bad for yourself and self-love and all the things, I want to know, for you, what is the definition of love?
To me, the definition of love is, well, I'm going to answer this in the form of a significant other.
Yes.
You know, because there's lots of different kinds of love.
Yes.
To me, the definition of love is when you can be with someone and come to the table with all of your wounds, all of your traumas, all of your bullshit, all of your ouch spots and your triggers, and they can do the same, and you protect them at all costs. And on top of that, can love being with them to the point where you just know that life is better with them in it. For me specifically, there are days and nights where Tay and I are in the middle of like a laughing fit, or when we're just like binge watching a show doing absolutely nothing, and I'm like, God, I would so not want to be doing this with another person. So many times during the pandemic alone, I've looked at Tay and been like, I could never get through this with any of my exes, like for different reasons, you know, like I like to just veg out and binge watch a show and eat shitty for like a weekend. And like some of them like wouldn't want to do that. They'd be like, no, let's like go out and be adventurous and like, you know, be outside and da 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 da. And others that, you know, like there's just no one else that I would have gotten through 2020 with. And I think it's important to have your definition of love be in alignment with how you love yourself. So for me, the things that I give to myself, I also receive and feel that same alignment from my partner, from Tay.
Sweet.
Yeah. I have to say, when Jackie was like, we need to do an episode about Javier because everybody's asking like why you don't, you know, go there and talk about it. I instantly
Wait,
like,
no, can I correct that?
Yeah, okay.
I didn't say we need to do an episode about Javier because what everyone's saying. I say we need to do an episode of Javier because I'm sick of talking about fucking Daniel.
Right. Okay, fine. Fair enough. We need to like circle in the other exes more. And fuck, dude, me too. I was so done.
Fuck
I mean, we had some
dickwad,
great,
I hate that bitch.
some great episodes on Daniel, but like I was so done. But when you first brought that up to me, because I know a lot of the listeners wanted to hear this too, I immediately like broke out in a cold sweat and was like, oh God, I don't really want to go there, because it's hard for me, not because I have unresolved feelings of it, because I don't, but it's hard for me because I still care about him as a person. I still care about his family. Like every interview I do, I am always like, I'm so thankful for his support in the whole process of the book. And, you know, I don't ever want to sound like I'm bashing him or ungrateful for our relationship, because neither are true in the least. But I will say that I immediately looked at Jackie and was like, okay, I'll do it, but can you do it with me?
Like, sure.
I didn't want to sit here and have to organize a solo podcast to do it by myself. And I needed someone that I love and trust that was going to like be my partner through it. And you were, of course, the person for that job. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, guys, we love you.
Love you. Okay, bye.
Whew, what a freaking doozy of an episode that was, you guys. Because I brought Jackie on for this episode to hold my hand and walk me through this, I wanted to give her the floor to do one of her FML stories. Believe me, there are many. We were laughing about which one we should even choose for her to share, but we're going to do this segment of FML stories from our own producer, Miss Jackie.
Hello and welcome to the Jackie Show. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, FML story. I think we settled on dude that wouldn't leave. So I had a first date with a guy that I met at a bar, and he took me out around Hollywood because I live in Hollywood. So we went out to some places like near Hollywood Boulevard, and we did like the whole thing. And he's dropping me off at home, and we're standing outside my apartment door, and I'm like, okay, thank you, good night. I didn't want to kiss him. I didn't want to like, just gave him a hug. Like I wasn't that into him. So I was like, okay, thanks, cool, good night, have a good night. It was nice to meet you. We had fun, blah, blah, blah. And as I'm opening my door, he goes, oh my God, let me see your apartment. And he walks into my apartment uninvited. And I'm like, okay, that's really rude, but cool, this is my apartment, time to leave. And he was like, oh, no, yeah, let's talk some more. I'm like, no, time to go. He takes off his pants and climbs into my bed uninvited. And I'm just standing there. He turns off the lights and just like goes like he's going to sleep. He's like, come on, time to sleep. I'm like, no, what the fuck? I was like, get out. Like, what are you doing? Refused to leave. I was like, dude, you have to go. I'm like, I'm going to call the cops if you don't leave. Like, this is not okay. You were not invited into my house. You like forced your way in. Time to go. He's like, no, I'll go in the morning. I have to call an Uber. I live all the way in Santa Monica. I'm like, I don't give a fuck where you live. I don't give a fuck who you have to call. Get the fuck out of my apartment. He wouldn't leave. So luckily, my best friend lived across the hall from me, and I texted her. I was like, dude, you have to come over. This guy will not leave my place. And she's like, what the fuck? So she like knocks on the door, and like I open it, and she's just like, we're both just like staring at him in the dark. Like her jaw's dropped. She's like, what? She was like, dude, you have to go. Like it's like starting to get involved, and he's like yelling at us, and we're yelling back, and he's like laughing at us, and we're like, I could not comprehend. I was like, why is this person like who raised you? Like who do you, what? Can I call your mother? I need your mother on the phone right now. Like, get the fuck out of my place. He refused. So finally her boyfriend comes over. He's like, what's going on? Eventually he like lets up. He's like, okay, I'll leave, but can you pay for my Uber? I'm like, gladly. Get the fuck out. Finally he leaves, and like I was like, in my wildest dreams, I would have never imagined that somebody could like invite themselves into your home, take their pants off, climb in your bed, and then refuse to go. Like, who are you?
Okay, so if you couldn't tell from her story, let me paint the picture. Jackie is like this beautiful, spicy Latina who does not take shit from anyone. So the visual that I personally have in my head of this fucking story is insane. The audacity that men have to be like, oh, just because I went on one fucking date with you, that means I should have access to come into your apartment uninvited, take my motherfucking pants off, and climb into your personal bed. Like, what the actual fuck? I cannot. I seriously want to thank my girl, Jackie. She has been such a support system for me, not only as a friend, she is the one that convinced me and forced me to do this podcast, which has been such a blessing, and works her freaking ass off to make sure that everything is up to my insanely high standards. And I so appreciate and love you. If you guys want to follow her on Instagram, her handle is at Jacqueline Marie Alberto, and her production company that is just kicking ass right now and producing this podcast that you're listening to every week is Chiquita Miami Productions. Next week, you guys, I am so excited for who I'm bringing on. Not only was she the biggest plus-size model to so fiercely grace the cover of Sports Illustrated multiple times, she is an incredible woman, a body advocate, and just an all-around really beautiful person. She also happens to know Daniel. I cannot wait for you guys to hear this interview. All right, my FMLers, it is officially time for our next giveaway. I cannot wait for you guys to see these gift baskets that I have put together for you. We are going to pick 2 winners. You're going to get a bunch of awesome swag, of course, including some Eat, Pray, FML merch and a signed copy, and a lot of other really cool stuff. I cannot wait for you guys to see what's in there. To enter, all you have to do is post a picture rocking your merch when you feel like an empowered badass. Make sure to hashtag FML Talk Boss Babes, tag the podcast and me at Gabrielle Stone, and tag 3 of your girlfriends who are your tribe in your comments. We will be announcing our 2 winners on February 26th, so make sure you get your posts in before then. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed so you never miss an episode, and I will see you all next week with Miss Hunter. Cheers, guys.